Hello everyone, if you're new here, my name is Jamie and I post videos every Sunday. So we're just gonna get started on our financial reset for the new year. I'm gonna be talking through my new budget spreadsheet, which I'm creating right now. We're gonna be covering a lot from your financial goals to sale periods throughout the year and making the most of your money. So let's just get started and get into the first step. I feel like a good place to start is to really take stock of where we're at, but we gotta know what we're working with before we can even think about what our goals are going to be. So I want you to check in on all of your accounts and all of your debt. So for example, if you have any credit card debt or use any buy now, pay later schemes like Afterpay, let's just make a note of everything that's going on and see where we're at with all of our accounts. So I'm just pulling up my new spreadsheet for the year, and I've got a table at the top of my first page that just shows my key figures that I want to keep track of right now, which is savings, investments, and holidays. Those three are really my focus. And I do have a separate splurge account, but I don't really keep track of it because I usually have very short-term goals like Lululemon leggings, and that's like $80, $100. So I don't want to keep track of every splurge I have through the spreadsheet. I have to say, I really like the ING app. It's super easy to rename your accounts, and I find that really helpful, especially with my splurge account, because I will just rename it to whatever I'm saving up for. I feel like it keeps me a bit more focused on my current splurge goal. Now that I have a starting point, I'm setting up a live tracker in my spreadsheet. I set aside money towards those goals every time I get paid. So every pay cycle, I'm putting money towards those three goals. I like seeing how much I'm contributing towards those goals and when. It gives me so much satisfaction when I see that number grow. And I have a table that shows all of my running accounts. So I can quickly look on this front page. I'm like, how much do I have in my holiday fund? And it'll be a clear figure, so I don't have to, dig through multiple pages in the spreadsheet. And this year, I decided to mix it up, do something a little bit different, and I'm putting in a bar graph. I like the visual representation of how my accounts are tracking, so I felt like a bar graph would definitely add to that satisfaction. Now that we have the live tracker, let's talk about some goals. So you might be saving up for your emergency fund, and personally, that was my first big goal on my personal finance journey, and I saved up 6 months worth of funds, which would really be there for me in case of an emergency. Like if I lost my job, that 6 months would allow me to continue living the same lifestyle. And 6 months I thought was a good buffer to really allow me to find a new job. And of course, that fund could also be used for other emergencies, not just losing your job. And I would say the rule of thumb for an emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your current income. But honestly, I think it really, really depends on your risk profile and really thinking about what figure do you need in the bank account to feel better about where your finances are at, and will help you sleep a little bit easier knowing that you're okay if something unfortunate happens tomorrow. So I know some people who have 12 months in their emergency fund tucked away in a separate account that they don't ever touch. And if 12 months is what you need, it's a judgment-free zone. And if 3 months is all you need, that's totally okay. Again, it just depends on your risk profile. I think it's so personal. So earlier when I mentioned taking a stock take of all your debt, you might be saving up towards paying off your debt or, some of it, or you might just have an upcoming holiday that you want to save up for. And depending on the location and duration of that holiday, that will obviously affect how much you're wanting to save up. I think it's really important to check in on your goals quite regularly, because I feel like with different seasons in life, your goals just change and the amount that you're trying to save really changes. A couple of years ago now, I feel like I was saving very aggressively because I was saving up for our wedding, our honeymoon, our furniture fund for our new home. Those were very many savings goals. And now that our wedding and our honeymoon, they are over and our house is fully furnished, my financial goals look so different this year. And this year, my key goals are, again, they're focused on 1, savings, 2, investments, and 3, holidays, which is reflected in my different accounts. So I try to generally distill my financial goals to 5 because I feel like Anything more than 5, personally, I just get overwhelmed and I'm like, I don't make enough money to be putting away towards these many different buckets. So I try to keep it to 5 at a maximum. Even if you can get it down perhaps to 3, that might really help you. And when I think about my financial goals, I am very specific on how much I want to save. So let's go with a target figure. And then thinking about when do I want to accomplish that goal and working backwards to where I am today, so I know exactly how much I need to be saving each pay cycle to accomplish that goal. And sometimes with my calculations and with my spreadsheet and comparing it towards my other goals, it might not be a realistic goal. So I think it's really good to actually do the maths now, be specific with your goals, and see what's a realistic amount that you can put away regularly and what's a realistic time frame to achieve that goal. So I've never had a goals section in my budget before, but I really like the idea of it sitting underneath my Lime tracker. It just makes sense. I don't know why I didn't do it sooner, but there you go. I'm putting it now in my budget. And I think it will be a good reminder to see what amounts I'm working towards and how I'm tracking. Now moving on to intentions and sale periods. Now this is really the second page of my budget spreadsheet. It's something that I've had in there for a couple of years now, and I found that it works personally for me. I have a list of money intentions that I like to keep front of mind throughout the year. So you might want to think about 3 to 5 money intentions that you just want to have as like good little reminders for yourself when, you're getting a bit distracted. Let's say there's Black Friday sales going on. You're like, oh God, do I need this? Do I want to buy it? Go back to your spreadsheet and look at those intentions. I really distinguish intentions from my financial goals because I think that the financial goals are more about like a dollar figure amount, whereas intentions, it's a lot more to do with mindset and how you want to approach your finances. For example, something that I like to remind myself is that I enjoy spending money on meaningful experiences rather than material items. So that is one of my intentions. When I look back on something, I prefer to have spent $80, let's say, on a kayaking experience, so random, rather than $80 on a dress. Really take a moment and reflect on what brings you the most joy. You might want to reflect on the past year and think about what were your best experiences? What things brought you most joy? And if it was like a handbag, that's just you don't have to care more about experiences than material items, but I think it's just important to know what brings you fulfillment and what brings you joy. Other examples, do you like traveling frequently? Do you like staying at nice hotels when you travel? Do you enjoy fine dining experiences? Do you always look back on them and think, wow, I love that I spent that much money on that experience because it was so memorable and the food was amazing? Honestly, whatever it is, again, it's a judgment-free zone. I personally do not care what other people are spending their money on. I would definitely suggest jotting down a few money intentions for the rest of the year. And you might not be making a new spreadsheet, that really doesn't matter. It might just be like a piece of paper that you put up somewhere where you're going to be seeing quite regularly, for example, on your bathroom mirror, or you might want to create like a little phone wallpaper for yourself. Whatever works, go for it. Now, moving on to the sales periods. So I've kept a list of the sale periods that I know will come up because it happens every year. There's no surprises. And this has really helped me save a lot of money, especially with big purchases. Like, we bought our fridge and our dishwasher last year in 2023, and we saved so much by waiting around for the big sales. I also like to shop for gifts I have coming up, like my husband's birthday or my family members and my friends' birthdays. I have a note in my phone where I keep track of all present ideas of the close people around me. For example, one of my cousins mentioned that she likes bullet journaling, and I was like, oh, bullet journaling, you say? And I'm like, recording it in my phone so I don't forget. And I found that this was a really good way to actually get very meaningful presents that I know that my loved ones will enjoy. And because I'm keeping track of it, I am ready when a sale period hits, and I can look through my list and see whether anything is on sale. And I also keep a wish list on my phone, and this one I keep on my to-do list app. It's free to use, it's a free app, and again, when it's sale time, I'll have a squiz at my wish list, and that just helps me to focus so I don't spontaneously purchase things that I will regret later because I'm just buying it because it's on sale. Now, moving on to the third page of my spreadsheet, this is my bills tracker. If you're noticing a theme, I love to record shit. I like to know where things are going and when. I just feel uncomfortable if I don't know what amount is going where. So for example, like if you ask me how much my water was last quarter, I will be able to tell you. Just like I like knowing things, okay? I think it's a control issue. Anyway, so I keep track of all my bills, like my utilities, my mortgage payments, council payments, health insurance, dentist appointments, other appointments, appointments with my therapist. So many bills as an adult. I'd like to know how I'm tracking. So for instance, with my utilities, it really helps me figure out how much I should be regularly putting aside towards my mortgage and bills account, which is a standalone account. Because if I don't know how much I usually pay for my utilities, how am I supposed to know how much to be setting aside for my next utility payment? I just don't want to be in a position where I'm shocked, or even worse, where I'm not able to pay off my utilities. Since we're talking about bills, I do specifically talk about how to save a little bit more on your bills and your fixed expenses in a previous video where I talked about how I changed my spending with the rising costs of living. I will link it above if you're interested to watch that. Okay, so I've created the January page of my budget. Super exciting. I'm not even being sarcastic. You've probably seen this page before if you've watched any of my other financial videos, and I start off with my fortnightly salaries. So I get paid fortnightly, so that is how I budget. I also record any additional income I might receive that fortnight. Then I contribute amounts towards my other accounts. So as I mentioned, I have a dedicated mortgage and bills account, and I set aside money towards that periodically. And I also record all my bills on the right as well as an additional buffer, and that is the total amount that will automatically transfer to that dedicated mortgage and bills account. Then I have amounts and automatic transfers set up towards my other accounts. So this includes my savings account, an account for my investments, my splurge account, and my holiday fund. And then what's left over is my discretionary expenses. I think that this is a good time to really check in and think about whether you're able to automate any amounts towards your financial goals. For example, an automatic $200 payment towards your holiday fund. Personally, I feel like automation really helps me because I just don't have to think about it, and it makes me feel that achieving my financial goals is not a burdensome process. And since that money is like immediately taken away from my discretionary spending, I definitely feel like I'm saving first, making sure everything is taken care of before I spend my remaining leftover amount. And on the right-hand side of my budget, you will see the categories that I've broken down my discretionary expenses in. So this includes subscriptions, gifts, transportation, exercise, Chemist Warehouse, it's a whole category, shopping, entertainment, work lunches and coffee, and eating out. So the way I budget is that I don't set caps on those subcategories. So for example, I'm not capping how much I spend on entertainment or how much I spend on transportation, because I really enjoy and value the flexibility of being able to play around within those subcategories. So for example, if there's a particular fortnight where I'm eating out a few times that fortnight with friends, I know that I need to be spending less money on other areas. So for example, work lunches and coffee. That might be something that works for you as well, but I know other people who budget with a cap on their subcategories. So if you want that kind of system because you think it would be helpful for you to really manage your spending, then definitely go for it. I would just suggest being really clear about how much you want to be capping your categories and making sure it's realistic where it wouldn't be such a huge drastic lifestyle shift out of nowhere. Since we're talking about discretionary expenses and bills, etc., I think it's also a good time to check in and see, are there any subscriptions that you might want to pause or cancel? So for example, have you listened to those 4 audiobooks that are sitting in your library? You might want to pause that. Or for example, like with my streaming services, I like to have only one going at a time, and I have no loyalty to streaming services. I just jump around depending on what shows are out. I really go into depth into that other video that I mentioned, which was the one where I talk about how I changed my spending with the rising costs of living. So I do a deep dive on that, and I think that will help you think about what other tweaks you might want to change to your budget to really save that money. So personally for me, I'm also thinking about pamper experiences in particular this year, because some of my goals is to be able to do more beauty related things at home. So for example, I'm putting it out there, I want to be doing my nails at home. I feel like that's something that I can learn and I should learn because I can save so much. I love having my nails done. It just makes me sassy, okay? But I don't like the price tag whenever I go into the salon, and also the inconvenience of having to make an appointment, etc. That is something that I'm thinking about when I'm looking at my new budget. Okay, so I basically have my spreadsheet all ready to go. I feel so much better having this organized for the new year, and I'm definitely going to make this accessible, free to download in the description box. I might just see if I can tweak the colors so it looks a little bit more aesthetic, but anyway, please let me know if you found this helpful or if you end up downloading the template that I'll link below. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really supports my channel. I work full-time and I do this as my side hobby, so I really appreciate any support that you can provide. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!